where we can talk about who's going to win what later on, but it's starting to look like we got about 7 teams, 8 teams maybe, that's going for those 6 playoff spots in the NFC.
Good stuff.
We did see a number of teams have their season go down the drain.
Yes, we did.
We'll get to that again in our when we go around the league later on.
Right.
But on the Giants side, turnovers. Ahmad Bradshaw still has trouble holding on to the ball. He got the one fumble turned over on the replay, but still hold on to the ball. And then Eli not knowing whether to do it. Now he's admitting he forgot all about if you slide feet first, you're down right there. And he had the first down by 8 yards.
If you dive, you have to be touched.
And you have to be touched if you dive. So.
And he dove, and he couldn't hang on to the football.
Couldn't hang on the ball. I mean, so the Giants turnovers, the penalty to Pierre-Paul that set the Eagles up on that next last possession, actually.
Yep.
And that led to the touchdown, really was the big part of the game. I mean, the Giants, the turnovers are killing them, and Eli throwing picks. But Giants did come back, but they were helped on it. One of the touchdowns they got was after the one fumble that they recovered, the one fumble by Vic. And then, of course, they were helped on the pass interference call. It was a definite pass interference call. It set them up.
And, if you want to look on it's just a quick negative before we go on to the Jets on the Eagles side, Asante Samuel gets an interception.
And then fumbles.
And then he fumbles.
And Bradshaw caused the fumble.
Bradshaw caused the fumble, a guy that fumbles the ball a lot.
Right.
He might need a couple redemptions right there, forcing a fumble himself. When you're an intercepting team, don't try to go for a touchdown. Unless if you have clear green grass in front of you.
In the moment, in the excitement of the moment, you want to go. You want to return it, all right?
Yes, but Asante Samuel eventually.
He was gathering blockers. If Bradshaw doesn't hit him, he gets another 10, 15 yards.
Yes. Later on in Asante Samuel's career.
Can't blame him for that.
You can't blame him for that.
But here's the big negative on the Giants. Number one, they lost another wide receiver for 3 weeks. Hakeem Nicks is now hurt, all right?
Yeah.
So the Giants' offensive line is banged up. And it showed because they could not run the ball against the Eagles.
Well, the Eagles have a terrific front seven.
Yeah, but when you're missing O'Hara,
I'll say this again.
You're missing Deal.
Front seven. Well, yeah, O'Hara, Deal, good interior lineman.
Absolutely. Right. And also now, of course, Coates is out for the year, and then you had guys out of position. But now Andrews was playing hurt, bad back. He didn't practice all week.
And Sean Andrews played hurt.
Yeah, he had a bad back. He didn't practice all week.
He played with a bad back.
Played with a bad back.
As a Philadelphia Eagles fan,
you get 2 starters are out.
As a Philadelphia Eagles fan, I am shocked.
Well,
he never plays.
He had to.
He never plays.
So anyway, the Giants are going to be home again this week against Jacksonville, but now they're missing Hakeem Nicks.
Yep.
Of course, Steve Smith is still a couple weeks away. Ramses Barden's out for the year. They brought in Derek Hagan, who caught a TD pass on Sunday night.
Hagan's a good receiver. Well, he was a great.
Oh, yeah, but right now he's got to be their number 2 receiver after Manningham.
He was one of the best receivers in college when he was at Arizona State.
Well, he hasn't shown it here yet.
Well, he needs to show it up.
But the Giants are very thin there, and with the offensive line banged up, now they have to depend even more on the run.
Yep.
So O'Hara might play this week, but we'll see. Anyway,
let's move on.
But the Eagles going to be playing at the Bears next week. So the Giants, the Giants got problems right now. And injuries are the main problem, which is causing the turnovers. Anyway, Jets, what can you say? I mean, the Jets are becoming the new cardiac kids of the league.
Hey,
but
you know what? This is once again, this time again, like last week, they earned it. They went down the field without anybody giving them a hand.
No.
It was just, of course, hey, look, the Texans don't have pass defense.
Right.
And you know what? It went to show there. And
the
when
Jets'
you don't have pass
defense gave up 17 points in the fourth quarter. At home, right?
20 points in the fourth quarter.
No.
20. Yeah.
No, it was 23-7.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then that's right. That's right.
20 to 10.
That's right. The last field goal.
I'm looking at it right now.
That's right. The last field goal with 50 seconds to go. That's right. I forgot about that.
There you go.
But but the defense didn't give that up. I mean, after the guy picked it, they actually stopped him on 3 plays and forced him to kick the field goal.
Yep.
Because I forget who it was that had the pick for Houston. He ran it down inside the 10-yard line.
Oh, the interceptor was Bentley.
All right, yeah, and he ran down inside the 10-yard line. So, I mean, it's not like the defense gave up that. But the defense gave up 17 points on 3 drives. I know the fumble by Sean Green indirectly led to one of the scores, but the Jets' defense, which is still, I think, a good defense when they're playing the way they're supposed to be, but they have a penchant for giving up points late. They did it this year so far. They did it against Cleveland.
It doesn't.
And they did it in several games last year.
It has not hurt them yet. Until it does, you can't say anything about it.
One thing I remember.
It'll get your heart beating every time they do it.
They got a 4-game winning streak, but look at the 4 teams they've beaten.
Yeah, the 4 teams they've beaten, they've barely beaten Cleveland. They barely beat Detroit.
All right.
They barely beat
Denver. And now Houston.
And then they barely beat Denver. But at least the last 2 games, you've seen them show the heart to want to win the game. As Herm Edwards would say.
I know.
You
but
play to win the game.
You can't.
And they did win the game.
You can't play like this against. You got games coming up.
Oh, you don't think they know that? They know that.
You got games coming up at New England,
Yep.
which is the Monday night game.
Yep.
After Thanksgiving, it's the following weekend,
Big
and
game.
then 2 weeks after that, you're in Pittsburgh. If you're going to play like that against New England and Pittsburgh, you're done. You can't play on the edge like this against the. Now, I'm going to say, well, in Rex, I'm not going to apologize, but you can't play like that against the mediocre teams in the league and expect to do that against the better teams.
Well, listen, the Jets. All the Jets really need to do is win 3 games out of the rest of this, and they're in the playoffs. So what's the point?
That's true, but you want to start the playoffs on the road again?
Well, no.
I mean, you want to win the division.
Yeah, you do.
And they got to win over New England anyway. Now, New England's starting to play better. What they did to Pittsburgh, oh, man. And then follow that up. Well, we'll talk about that in a second segment. What a tremendous game that was. The Colts at the Patriots.
Oh, yeah.
With Manning basically playing with the practice squad. But you got a team in the Jets that for some reason can't put teams away. However, for what you were saying before, Sanchez is starting to show himself to be a big-time performer at absolute crunch time. The overtime games.
He made those 2 great.
The hookups with Santonio Holmes.
He made exactly. He did it. He did it.
Although
this
the
week.
Texas pass defense helped him.
Well, I mean, yeah, sure, yeah. You want to call that a help? I'm sorry. That's just exploiting a bad defense.
Right.
That's all Mark Sanchez did. And people who are not fans of the Jets, I'm not a fan of the Jets either myself. But I'm just making a point here that hey, listen, the last 2 weeks they've exploited weaknesses in defenses this week and last week.
Right.
And they've earned.
Could have done
more. They
more.
weren't given wins like the 2 weeks before the Browns games. Okay.
All right.
These last 2 weeks they have earned it by exploiting weaknesses in defenses. They've earned it.
I think they won the Cleveland game because they got the ball in such great field position in overtime in the last minute. Cleveland,
if you don't want to agree on the Cleveland, you can say at least this game they exploited a bad pass defense.
But on the negative side, and it's a very important negative, their defense is not coming up with big stops late in the game when the game is on the line. They did that last year in a couple of games, the Jacksonville game and the Atlanta game.
Yep.
Their defense did not come up with big stops late. Their defense has to learn to be just as good in the last 4 minutes as they were the other 56 minutes. So, anyway, we're going to go over who these two teams are going to play in our next segment. Giants, a bad loss. Eagles held serve. We'll see how the Giants respond. Jets, they're 8-2, a shaky 8-2, but like you said, an 8-2 nonetheless. We'll be right back with our second segment. We're going to go around the rest of the league. A lot of things to talk about, so we had some wild finishes. This is the Mike and Sean Show on Triple Coverage. That's Sean, Mike. You are the third person. We'll be right back.